Hey guys, welcome to Motoroids. My name is Amit and this is the BMW F900 XR. Now we know that we are a little bit late to the party, but the COVID lockdowns did not really help. We had a lot of ground to cover, a lot of cars and motorcycles to review, but finally we have it with us. And to start off, let me tell you what this motorcycle is all about. And you can look at it in two ways. First is it's a sports tourer version of its F900R naked version, and with the added ground clearance, the fairing, resistance, more aerodynamic ability and a capability to go long distance, this turns into a sports tourer. It can also be considered as a smaller sibling of the bigger S1000 XR. And this motorcycle, while to a lot of you might appear like a mild ADV, it definitely is not. At best it can do mild trails, but it definitely is not meant to be going off the road in a hardcore kind of a manner. So for those of you who want to be comparing it with the Tiger 900, no, this motorcycle is meant primarily, largely for the road. Now I've ridden it extensively and I'm impressed in a lot of ways, but there are also a lot of things which are not too great about this motorcycle. So let's start talking about all of these things one by one. In terms of the styling, I really think that it's definitely not going to win any beauty contests, but it does have a charm to it. To me personally, it does remind me mildly of the Multistrada. The Multistrada 950 also is one of its competitions and better equipped too, but this motorcycle does look nice. With the F900 FX, the motorcycle also has regained its symmetry, and now the newer motorcycles are not asymmetrical as some of the previous generation BMWs used to be. Now let's have a look at its aesthetics, and to start off, the resemblance that I was talking about, these twin eyes have 4 projectors and it also comes with DRLs. These illumination units are very capable as they are beautiful. You have twin upside down forks 43mm units, and you have a very capable braking system also on this motorcycle. 320mm twin discs with 4-pot Brembo calipers. Excellent braking power there. The wheels are cast aluminum and the tires here are Michelin Road 5 GT, which essentially are long distance touring versions of the Road 5 tires. So the focus here is more on durability and going over a variety of surfaces on broken roads, etc. So these are not as much focused purely on grip, but they're also oriented a little bit towards longevity. Now a miss here for the Indian version is the cornering lighting function, which was touted on the international version, but it has not been introduced here, which is quite a bummer. And I really think that for the Indian market also that feature should have been there. It's not even available as an option in India, and I really think that's a shame. Now this fly screen that you see here is adjustable and very conveniently so, and you can do it with just one hand, and these are the only 2 settings that you have. And while it does deflect wind to a good extent, it helps only when your helmet is tucked in. Otherwise, if you're going to be sitting straight, there is going to be a lot of wind buffeting around the helmet and you are going to feel it while you're at speed. So it does work, but not in entirety. Now a few other details. You also have this half fairing here with this XR branding, F900 branding here. The BMW logo sits here and the fairing itself is quite a complex unit. The ground clearance here is 185mm, which makes it quite capable when you're going on trails. It's not exactly an off-roader, as I mentioned, because the tires here do not support you going off the road much, but you really can ride the pegs. The handlebar is quite high up, so it does support riding the pegs, and you can ride it on a soft trail. So in that sense, it's quite good. It's more capable than a few other sports tourers. So that's the mild ADV angle coming in, but it's not a proper ADV. It's a sport tourer which can do a little bit of soft roading. In terms of its seat, the seat height here as standard is 825mm. Now that's something which is very interesting because this seat is completely customizable. You can take it down all the way to 770mm, where the shorter riders amongst you can also ride the motorcycle. And if you want, if you're a really tall rider and if you want the seat to go high up, there's an option where you can take it up all the way to 870mm. So there are a ton of options for this seat, and obviously you'll have to pay for it, but there is adjustability which is available and you just have to specify it while you're buying the motorcycle. In terms of the seat's quality itself, I really believe that this seat could have been better. I think this seat is slightly on the harder side. The angle also is a little too sloped for my liking, especially for a sports tourer which I'm supposed to be riding all day long. So along with the hard seat and the slope, after riding it for 100-150 kilometers, you'd probably want it to be comfier and probably better angled. It's quite narrow as well, and I believe this seat definitely could have been a little bit better than what it is. Now the rider triangle here with the rear seat foot pegs and this wide handlebar is set on the comfortable side. The handlebar needs a mention here, it's quite upright, so you can ride it for a very long distance in that sense. If only the seat was a little bit better, this motorcycle really would have been fantastic, since the suspension also is pretty good. Now once you're aboard the motorcycle, you're exposed to this beautiful 6.5 inch color TFT display, which is feature laden and is controlled by this very intuitive dial, which moves you through the menus and is quite easy to operate. So you have this menu button here which allows you to enter the menus, and then once you have entered the menu, you can scroll through various different sections of this instrument console. And I've explained this instrument console in great detail on the S1000RR. The link to this video can be found above, or you can just search for the S1000RR instrument console. Now you have a lot of settings here which you can go through, and they're pretty intuitive. As you can see, there's a lot of information available here. This also comes with Bluetooth connectivity, and after connecting your phone, you can also get turn-by-turn navigation, you can listen to music, and you can answer calls. So all of those features are here. However, the one special feature that this motorcycle has is electronic suspension adjustment, and that's one of the highlights here. And for that specifically, you have this button. So once you press this button here, you'll get these two icons, and while the one on the left allows you to choose one of the modes from either dynamic or road. So the road is slightly on the softer side, and the dynamic mode is essentially a little bit more firmer. Now you can also choose the preload by turning the engine on and then long pressing the suspension button. As you can see, right now it's set only for the rider. Now you can set it for a rider with luggage, and you can also set it for a rider and a pillion. So in that sense, you can define the preload that you want for the motorcycle, and that is really useful if you want to be going touring. You can also turn stability control on or off using this button here. You have a button for hazard lights, and this motorcycle comes with cruise control, so you can set a speed on the highways and enjoy cruising with a proper cruise control. This is how the horn sounds. And apart from that, you also have this button here to choose various different modes, and this here is the Pro variant of this motorcycle. What we have here is the Pro mode, where you have rain and road modes, which is also available on the standard variant. But by paying 1 lakh rupees extra over the Pro mode, you get two extra modes, which is Dynamic and Dynamic Pro. Plus you also get lean sensitive traction control and ABS. Plus you also get lean sensitive ABS, lean sensitive traction control, motor slip regulation, and you also get dynamic brake control. But for all of these things, you'll have to pay 1 lakh rupees extra over the Pro mode, which by itself is more expensive than the standard mode. I'll come to that in a bit. Now this motorcycle weighs about 219 kgs, which is quite heavy. However, once in the move, it's a breeze. It completely loses its weight as it's on the move and feels very nimble. However, if you're going to be maneuvering it front and back using your leg power, it is a bit of a chore, so that's something that you have to be wary of. The fuel tank here is 15.5 liters, and it's a hinged unit with aircraft type fuel filler cap. This is what the key looks like, quite stubby, and with a fuel efficiency range of 17 to 23 kmpl, you get an average tank range of about 300 kilometers. So this motorcycle with its 15.5 liters of fuel tank will give you a range of 300 kilometers or thereabouts, depending on how you ride. A word about the mirrors. They are quite wide set, but they are not very wide themselves. I would have really appreciated had these mirrors also been slightly wider. They are quite wide set, as I mentioned, but they could probably have been wider towards the ends. Now the exhaust here is quite stubby, and it's a twin, so the sound here is nothing to write home about. In fact, the triples from Triumph or the inline fours from Kawasaki sound much nicer, And I really believe that that's one area where this motorcycle does not excel at. However, let's have a listen to how this exhaust sounds. It sounds better when you are aboard the motorcycle than how it sounds when the bike is stationary. Now the rear seat is integrated, which means that it's not a split seat, and the size of the rear seat is not very long, neither it's too wide. So this motorcycle is good for a pillion only for short distances. You can ride this motorcycle for 20 to 50 kilometers, and if you're going to be riding with a pillion, it's not very advisable, although the grab rails are quite practical, quite usable. The tail is pretty short, and while it's not very practical, it does lend the motorcycle with a certain sense of beauty. At the rear you have 180 section Michelin Road 5 GT tires with 265 brakes, and of course it comes with BMW Motorrad ABS system, which is fantastic. Now let me also talk about a few other technical bits, which includes its electronic suspension. Both up front and at the rear you get long travel suspension, which again can be adjusted if you want. As a pack you can go with shorter travel suspension. So as standard you get 170 travel up front and 172 travel at the rear. However, you can reduce it to about 150 if you so wish. And this unit here that you see is how the suspension settings at the rear for preload as well as for the modes is controlled on the fly. And this here is the unit, and on the standard variant you will get manual preload adjustment, but here you also get an electronic adjustment. This motorcycle in the Pro mode also comes with a quick shifter. As you can see here, there is a bidirectional quick shifter unit here, but as you would have heard from others as well, at slower speeds when the throttle is not whacked open, it does not quite work very well, and you really need to be traveling at a very high clip with the RPM in the upper echelons for the bi-directional quick shifter to be working very well. The lighting all around is LED. As you can see, the tail lamps are also a minimalistic kind of unit. The blinkers are LEDs, and all in all, while at the front there are a lot of design elements, it does look like a compact machine. It doesn't look very intimidating, and it does come across as a relatively friendly machine as compared to the bigger GS motorcycles that can be quite a handful for those who are not used to riding big motorcycles. Now let's talk about the engine, the performance, the transmission, the ride and the handling. And about the engine, it's an 895cc twin cylinder engine, and the peak power output here is 105 PS at 9500 RPM, and the peak torque is 92 Nm at 6500 RPM. Now if you compare it with its rivals, there are quite a few other machines here with twin cylinder as well as 4-cylinder engines. The Multistrada 950 dishes out 114.5 PS, which is about 11 PS more. The Kawasaki Versys 1000, which is a great on-road tourer, produces about 120 PS of power, which again is about 16 PS more. The Triumph Tiger 900 produces 95.2 PS, which is a lot less, but that motorcycle has a lot better off-roading capability. And then of course you have the beautiful Kawasaki Ninja SX with its 140 PS of peak power and an inline 4. So that way it has quite a few rivals with more power. But let me just tell you that in terms of power, this motorcycle does not leave you wanting for more power. The acceleration is very brisk. The 0 to 100 time is 4.5 seconds, which is extremely quick for our conditions, and for all practical purposes that's quite a brisk pace. In terms of top speed also, this motorcycle will take you past 200 kilometers per hour and quite briskly at that. So in terms of performance, I don't really think that there is anything to whine or complain about. What I really did not like much is the fact that while riding it in the city, the engine has a tendency to heat up a little bit, especially if it's a hot day and you're riding in stop-start conditions. The engine does feel like it's heating up quite a bit. Also, an annoying thing that I noticed was that it's very difficult to find the neutrals. So while you're shifting from first to second or second to first, that happens rather smoothly. But if you're going to be finding the neutral while stopping at a traffic signal, that can be quite a chore, and I really believe that the transmission here could have been a little bit better. Talking about the transmission, I tested this motorcycle for its gear speeds, and for the first 3 gears it does 83 kilometers per hour, 113 kilometers per hour and 143 kilometers per hour in the first 3 gears, and it feels extremely brisk. You have to keep the engine above 2000 rpm to get any movement from it. Below that there is a little bit of sputtering. In terms of tractability, only yesterday I was riding the Triumph Trident, which has more power. It's a triple, but I was completely bamboozled by the tractability of that machine. I was riding that motorcycle in the 6th gear at 30 kilometers per hour. This motorcycle on the other hand isn't as tractable. In the 6th gear it'll keep moving above 60 kilometers per hour without any splutter, without any knocking. Similarly, in 5th gear you'll have to keep it above 50 kilometers per hour. So in that sense it does require you to keep it above a certain rpm, and the tractability is not as amazing as some of the other bikes. Now coming to the good part, once this motorcycle is on song, that is after 4000 rpm, it really comes into its own, and from that point onwards the engine just revs all the way to its upper limit of 9500 rpm, and the progress is really enticing. This motorcycle really feels very enthralling, very exciting for a twin, and in terms of performance you'll not be left wanting for any more power. The mid-range is exceptionally strong, and if you're going to be riding on the highways, just a twist of the wrist is going to give you enough power to accelerate ahead of anything else on the road. Now a word about that. For this motorcycle you really have to whack the throttle open, like you really have to take it to the last limit to get that extra spurt of acceleration. If you're going to be just partly twisting the wrist, it's not going to give you that extreme acceleration. So if you really want to be going all out, you really have to whack the throttle open, and if you want to get around that problem, you'll have to pay the extra money that I talked about and get the Dynamic and Dynamic Pro modes, where the throttle response will get crisper and you will not really have to ring it too hard. The engine is generally very smooth at lower revs. When you're keeping it around 2000 or below that, you can feel a little bit of knocking, but once you build revs, it really feels very smooth. The BMW quality is evident everywhere in the way the motorcycle is built, and also in the way the engine revs its way all the way to the red line. So in that sense, it's a vibe free motorcycle, very reassuring, and you can really take it to its limit without any problems whatsoever. The mid range is especially strong, 4000 rpm onwards. You get a very strong surge, and then there is another step up which can be felt 7000 rpm onwards. Now another great feature of this motorcycle is its handling, and while it does look like a reasonably big motorcycle and it's quite high up off the ground, the center of gravity is not very low. This motorcycle does not mind being shown a set of bends at all, and on the highways as well as on some wide winding twisties, it comes into its element. It really loves being shown a set of bends, and you'd really enjoy yourself if you're going to be carving canyons. Of course, it's not a track tool, so if you want to be going in a max attack mode on this motorcycle, that's not what it's meant for. Of course, the super sports are going to be doing a better job of it, but for most part, for most of the conditions that we have on smooth roads, on winding roads, even on some tighter bends, this motorcycle really feels amazing. The braking is great, and it really loves being tilted and brought back. So if you're someone who wants a motorcycle which handles well, this fits the bill fantastically. One of the better handling motorcycles out there. The suspension is slightly on the firmer side, but it's not uncomfortable at all, and even on broken patches this motorcycle rides very well. In terms of the braking capability, it's fantastic. The hardware that you have here is amazing. Up front you have those solid looking Brembos, so the bike comes to a halt in a jiffy, stops on a dime, and overall the braking, the handling, the ride leaves nothing to complain about. The same, as I mentioned, though, cannot be said about the transmission. The transmission could have been slightly smoother, and we should have been able to find the neutrals in a slightly easier manner. Now this motorcycle is available in two colors. This red and grey is the sportier one of the two, and I would any day go for this color. There is another white as well, which I personally don't like much, but these are the two options that you have to choose from. And all in all, it's a motorcycle which does a lot of things well, but there are a couple of things which it does not do very well as well. And to name all its pros and cons in a brief manner, let's first talk about the pros. So the electronic suspension is something that we really love. It comes with cruise control. It has a great ride handling adjustability, and that suspension really lends it a lot of adjustability in terms of touring also. And it's also a motorcycle which can do a little bit of soft roading, so you don't really have to confine it strictly on the road. However, it doesn't come with the cornering lights that we were promised. It doesn't have any IMU assisted electronics. It's quite expensive for what it offers. I'm going to come to that in a bit. It's a twin, not a triple or a four. The quick shifter is a bit clanky. The exhaust is not the best. Tough to find neutrals sometimes, and the seat could have been a little better. Now with all of that in mind, it is a great road machine. However, there are some other options which are available. The Tiger 900 is more of an ADV. The Ninja 1000 SX is a lot more powerful and is very well priced as well. However, it has to be strictly kept on the road. This motorcycle has a slight off-road capability, and in that sense the Versys is also there, which is a fantastic tourer, but it's not as good looking or as compact as this. The Versys is really amazing in a lot of ways, but you really cannot take it off the road too much, and it's quite heavy. It's not as beautiful. It has its advantages. It's supremely comfortable, but that motorcycle also has its limitations. And in that sense, the Multistrada 950, I personally believe, although it's more expensive, is a more direct competitor to this motorcycle, and it's more competent as well. It has a better suite of electronics. It comes with IMU assisted electronics, and it's also more powerful. It has more capability off the road, and if you put both the motorcycles head to head, I really believe that the Multistrada 950 comes out on tops. However, it's more expensive as well. Let's have an understanding of the prices also in this segment. So the standard version of this bike is going to cost you 11 lakh rupees ex showroom, and then if you go with the Pro version, which is this version, you'll have to pay 12.4 lakh rupees ex showroom. And then if you want to go with the additional features that I talked about, including the dynamic and dynamic pro modes and lean sensitive traction control and ABS, you'll have to pay 1 lakh rupees extra, taking the price to 13.4 lakh rupees. In comparison, the Versys is 11.2 lakh rupees. The Triumph Tiger is about the same price at 13.7 lakh rupees. The Ninja SX is very competitively priced. So if you're going to be staying strictly on the road, at 12.83 lakh rupees, the Ninja SX is an amazing option. And then you have the Ducati Multistrada, which is still quite expensive at about 15.5 lakh rupees, but it is definitely more competent. So if you like this motorcycle, there is no direct rival which can match it for its price. It's expensive for what it offers, but if you see what it does, there is no direct rival to it. However, if you want a similar machine, you'll have to pay a lot extra for the Multistrada, and in the standard variant where you can adjust everything manually, it is a decent package for a decent price. So my suggestion to you, if you like this motorcycle, you can probably go with the standard version, which is 11 lakh rupees, and at that price it is not very expensive and does what it does very, very well. I really hope that this video was of some use to you. I was able to answer all the questions that you had about this beautiful motorcycle, and still, if you have any questions, you can put them down in the comment section. I'll be very happy to be answering those questions personally. Now, we do these long format videos because we have a certain audience to cater to, and if you are one of them, people who appreciate the hard work that we put behind these reviews, hit that like button, subscribe to Motoroids, always put Motoroids in your searches. When you press that bell icon, always choose the always option. And until next time, this is Amit Shangani signing off. Rev hard, rev free, and ride safe.